Welcome to the Dr. Leadership Show, where we take a look at how you approach your work and personal life and how we can make the most out of both of them. A weekly get-together where we get real about self-improvement and development as we all make this not-so-easy journey through life. Our discussions will cover ideas and concepts from how to grow your career to how to lead your family towards prosperity and happiness. We don't pretend to know it all, and the doctor is the first to be vulnerable, discussing his own weaknesses, both past and present. This is about growing together and having some fun while we discuss what is happening in the crazy world we live in and how to make the most of it. Let's strive for awesome together. Let's get after it. Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Dr. Leadership Podcast. Hope you are having an awesome Wednesday morning. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope your teams won. My Hawkeyes did not show up. Congratulations to the Buckeyes. That's a pretty good football team. And a special shout out to Vanderbilt taking down Bama. 99.9% of America's population was cheering for Vanderbilt on that one. Unbelievable win. It shows what you can do. I mean, if you put your mind to it, what you can do. They'd get hit back by Bama. They'd hit them again. Man, it was fun to watch. Vanderbilt beats Bama. What a great weekend. But welcome to year 3 of the Dr. Leadership Show. So first of all, big shout out to the thousands and thousands and thousands of people who have taken their time to give me a chance to speak my mind. Hope you've enjoyed it. I've certainly enjoyed doing it. Going to continue enjoying doing it. And like I said, thousands of people have tuned in and made this a joyful thing. I'm not doing it for the crowds. I'm doing it for just basically myself. To keep my sanity going and to kind of focus on continuing to grow. But it does make you feel good when you look down at the stats and you see that the podcast host is saying, hey, things are going pretty good here. But I hope in some manner I have helped you look at something in life through a different lens. This is all about self-examination, right? I don't have all the answers, man. I've made a lot of mistakes. I share those. I've had a lot of experiences being in leadership for 30 years, being in a business-to-business world for 35 years, international interactions, all sorts of different interactions of all industries, financial services, insurance, technology, healthcare, et cetera. We kind of touch them all, what I do in my daily life, and just have learned a lot of great things. Had a lot of great guests on. Check out the Leadership Lounge. The past guests are out there available for anybody to listen to out on my Libsyn site. Just go to the podcast show on Apple or on Spotify or the YouTube channel, whatever you want to do, or go to our website at www.drleadershipresults.com. Click on prior episodes, and you can get access to all this stuff. Now, members are getting this episode right now several days ago. And if you go out and you hit the subscribe button at the www.drleadershipresults.com, and for a small investment every month, cancelable at any time, you can get early access, Leadership Lounge. I've got 3 great Leadership Lounge episodes that were spiraling up. Been working on calendar. Unfortunately, I had to blow one up because of travel. Got one this week I'm recording, one next week I'm recording, and one the week after that. So there'll be lots of new content coming out on the Leadership Lounge. 3 great leaders. Different aspects of life, all of them, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So thanks for checking it out. So to kick off year 3, I thought I would share something a little different. And it's the ideas and the concepts of a late 19th century philosopher named Friedrich Nietzsche. Now everybody goes, 19th century, I'm out. Stick with me. This guy's awesome. Not awesome in all the right ways, but awesome on his philosophical approaches to life. Ties in a lot to what we've been talking about for quite some time. And again, his name is Friedrich Nietzsche. This idea came to me. I follow Dr. Jordan Peterson online. I think the guy is an intellectual powerhouse. Forget about the political leanings. He just calls balls and strikes in life. He started this new Peterson Academy, and it's going to be an awesome thing. He's doing an 8-part series on Friedrich Nietzsche. And I thought, I'm watching this and I'm checking it out. And I started looking at this guy and I go, man, this really ties in. And this episode's called Friedrich Nietzsche, Philosophy with a Hammer. And you'll understand that a little bit more as we go along. But again, check out the Peterson Academy. Great instructors doing all sorts of virtual reality presentations and lectures. Great way to learn. Very inexpensive. It's a contrarian approach to these $60,000-$80,000 a year universities that let you burn buildings down if you don't agree with something. So maybe give this a shot. So who was Friedrich Nietzsche? Nietzsche was a nihilist, or an extreme pessimist, maybe is a better way to say it. Nihilism is belief in nothing, basically, the destruction of all norms. And he really was pessimistic around the norms of the world. But as Dr. Peterson says in his deliveries of it, he delivered philosophy with a hammer. So very to the point, direct, both of which are good concepts in life. Life is too short to beat around the bush. And I've always said this. Do any of you know, this is a line I've used a lot. I actually created it. This is a Dr. Leadership original. But do any of you know someone that just can't get to the point? It's awful. I always say these are the people that take 2 hours to explain an episode of 60 Minutes. I mean, it's just like, come on, we're almost there. Come on, help a brother out. Let's get to the point. Well, Nietzsche is not correct about how do I want to say it? He's not correct about a lot of things. And especially when you start looking at religion and his thoughts on that, I think there's a couple different ways to take it. But you got to take him at face value. He's not anti-religious. And I'll get to that in a moment, but his thoughts are really on self-determination, and that only you can drive your own outcomes. It's very inspiring. There's a number of, he wrote 5-6 unbelievable novels, fought terrible health, died in 1900. He did his main work. He followed people around. He was in Basel, Germany. He's a German philosopher. So I imagine the delivery directness just comes from his cultural background. And I can't even picture in my mind delivering some of these statements in German, because German is not a love language. It's not Italian and Spanish. It is a very, hits you right in the friggin' face. But he was a 19th century philosopher, and he did most of his work from the late 1860s to the early 1890s. Now, he passed away from pneumonia, and he was going blind, and he was in a dark place at the end, but he died in 1900. His main work that a lot of this focuses to is the book called The Gay Science. Not sexual as we know it today, but The Gay Science, I think it came out in 1882, if I remember right, focused on his statement, God is dead, and religion or Christianity will no longer set the moral standards for human life in the modern world. See, Nietzsche believed that wasn't an anti-religion statement. What he's talking about is he believes that morality is determined by our individual perspectives. So how would I say this? How forward-seeing was he? So look at the retraction from religion in the U.S., just as an example. It used to be every Sunday you went to church, 90% of the population did, 80% of the population did. Now we're down, I think, right around 50%. And this isn't a cheerleading squad for religion. Religion can be a business too, so you got to be very careful. But it was about receiving affirmation of what your parents were telling you, but the difference between right and wrong was at home, by a popple or a preacher that reaffirmed this to the kids. It was the bedrock of the cultural acceptance of good and bad, etc. Nietzsche could see forward thinking. Look at where we are today. I mean, as we have stepped, I said we've gone from 90% of people attending church or some sort of spiritual engagement to now down to 50%. Look what's happened to our culture. There's no respect for life. Drugs are rampant. Sexual deviancy. This isn't about gay is wrong or anything. That's not that statement at all. I want you to love whoever you want. But the pedophilia, the sexual trafficking, that's what I'm talking about there. There is just the heavy drug usage, the homelessness, the people on the streets. This isn't America that I grew up in. So he was very forward-seeing that people will step away from that. And when it becomes determined by our individual perspectives or our self-drive, a lot of people don't want to show up. It's been replaced with laziness. I mean, think of social media is the almighty to so many people. Likes have replaced love. Shares have replaced cares. If you want to really give a listen to a shocking view into the future, listen to the old radio announcer, and I highly recommend this. Write this one down, remember it, hit record, whatever you're doing here. There was an announcer, WHO radio, out of Des Moines, Iowa. It was also the first job of former President Ronald Reagan, was a WHO radio announcer back in the 40s, and or 30s actually, excuse me. And they had a gentleman on the radio. His name was Paul Harvey. And he does a talk. It's about a 5-minute listen. He would always end with, and now you know the rest of the story. That's what his final line. Like I say, keep being awesome, keep that shit up. That's my go out line a lot of times, or something around awesome. He always said, now you know the rest of the story. But he has a talk called If I Were the Devil, what he would do. And it's from like 1965, 67, something like that. Go listen to it. And listen to it from the lens of how our society is today. Friedrich Nietzsche and Paul Harvey could see it coming. And hopefully it helps round you out on what we should be doing in America around our culture. So anyway, got off on a tangent there a little bit, but I'm a big believer in that conversation by Paul Harvey. And I'm a big believer in when you take Nietzsche's core principles, what he's talking about here, it ties in very well with the DR leadership show here. So back to Nietzsche. I'm going to show you some quick hits today. There's a couple of things out there, and then I'll do part 2 next week because there's a lot to talk about here. There's a lot of basic thoughts. But part 2 next week, since, like I said, tons of them. Take some read time, take some real time, and read up on this man's life, Friedrich Nietzsche. If you want to spend more time on his life lessons, there is a great list of his life lessons by a guy named Eric Kim. And that's what I'm pulling this from, is he's boiled it down to some simple concepts and simple statements instead of having to read 7 books over a 3-month period here, written in the 1900s and translated from German, which I'm sure will be fun. I do plan on doing some of that. I thought we'd boil this down a little bit. So the first one of Nietzsche's main concepts is this: the will to power is the will to live. So this is basically, don't cower under suffering. Don't cower under hard. Rather, know that suffering or the hard leads to personal growth. Now, how many times have we said life is hard on this show? I mean, I say it almost every episode because it is. So you gotta, and this is what inspired me from Dr. Peterson. He said, man, you're going to get hit in the face. You got to be prepared in life to be hit in the face over and over and over again. As my 95-year-old mother, who's back in the hospital for the 5th time in 7 weeks, going from here to see her, says often, life isn't for sissies. It isn't. So don't be a sissy. I've said it time and time again. So lean into hard. Life is hard. It can be hard now, or it can be hard later. Talking to all the young people out there. Quit trying to keep up with everybody and save some damn money. Because either you can save hard and not be at every social butterfly event. You can invest now and let time make you into a multimillionaire for small investments. $300-$400 a month will turn you into a multimillionaire in 40 years. Pay attention, tell your kids, share the episode. There's lots of Dr. Leadership episodes on financial freedom. It's the greatest feeling in the world. I have never felt better than the last 10, 12 years that I get to wake up every morning and know I have no worries about money. I mean, there could be something drastic really happen. China takes over the banking systems and all the investment systems and crashes and burns it all. But on a daily basis, my wife and I get up and know we have some freedom here. Same thing here. Handle hard now or handle hard later. He calls this the will to power. Strive to grow is what he calls it. So Nietzsche's onto something here. It is the will to live. It is the will to grow. The second one I wrote down, another hit from the show in the past, he says, we are responsible for ourselves. Wow. What a concept, right? We are responsible for ourselves. What about the saying, we make choices and choices make us? Ever heard that before? There is no complaining in life. Complaining is for the weak. How about a great one? Back to a league of their own. There is no crying in baseball. The same thing holds true in life. Step up to the damn plate of life and take another swing. Our decisions matter. We're not going through life in a mindless act of chance. That's what Nietzsche said, is you aren't just succeeding or not succeeding because some roll of the dice by the big guy upstairs, or because of some natural phenomenon that leads some to good and some to evil, some to success, some to failure, some to being more aspirational than others. No. It's all we determine our outcomes. Net, maybe you call it accountability, personal drive. Everyone's raring to go, but not many can go for raring. I've got 1,000 of them, folks. We've talked about this. Philosophers in 1882, when life was really hard, pre-World War I. I mean, this was there were wars going on all across Europe at this time as well. Nietzsche actually moved in between, because his health was bad, Switzerland and southern France and southern Italy, trying to find good weather to help him with some of his issues. Health was not good in those times. But there was hard everywhere. We have it easy in comparison. Still hard, but we got to put it in perspective. So self-accountability was something he led with. The third one that really triggered me was never stop climbing. The DR show has touched on this one and our exposure to continually learning. See, in life, you got to do like Gretzky says, you got to skate where the puck is going to be, not where it is. Friedrich stated it this way: in the mountains of truth, you will never climb in vain. It's a very 1900s. They were very eloquent. The language was important. Word selection mattered. Think of that. In the mountains of truth, you will never climb in vain. So as you're personally striving to get better, as you're personally striving to get the most out of you, that hard climb is not in vain. Is it your job, and it is something that you said you wanted to do, and now you found out it's hard and you don't want to do it anymore? That's quitting. There are situations where it may not be the right seat on the bus that you've selected. Find the seat. But anything, even if you're excellent at it. Michael Jordan was an awesome basketball player. His hard was 4 hours of working out every single day. He missed 9,000 shots in his career. The GOAT. Guess what? He took another shot, took another swing at the plate. Never stop climbing. Never stop learning. Never ever think that you've got it all figured out, because guess what? Things are moving. Technology is flying at us. I've told the story 2 years ago. The amount of data in the Library of Congress took 250 years to fill. When I talked a few years ago, it was every 6 minutes that much data moves on the internet. Now, that much data moves on the internet every 5 to 10 seconds. The capacity that you have to understand that you need to be successful in this life is grand. It's hard. Embrace it. Lean in. The fourth one Nietzsche had here that I thought was really interesting. Build your own bridge in life. Remember, it was probably I was thinking about this, maybe 10, 15 episodes ago. We talked about, if you aren't blessed with a kingdom of gold, if you look around and you weren't born in a kingdom of gold, guess what? You're the king or queen that has to build the kingdom of gold. You got to go out and find your own gold. Same concept. Here, it's up to us. Build your own bridge in life. So imagine the bridge, if you want to get, kind of a visualization of this. You're standing on one side of the river, and the destination, greatness, retirement, financial freedom, great health, fitness, anything is across the river. Well, you don't just jump in the water and hope the current takes you where you want to go. First of all, if you just jump in, the current takes you downriver. You never reach the other side. So you have to build a bridge through your choices, through your actions, through your commitment, through your dedication, through your true inner self, to make your outcomes come out the way you want them to come out. No one hands a hall pass. There aren't many trust fund babies out there. Many of the trust fund babies don't end up being what you want to be. If you've been blessed with wealth or comfort, God bless you. Do something with it. Make something more of it. Lean in, dive in. Don't sit back and just go, hey, lucky me. That's a lonely life. Leave your own mark. I'm going to be a first-generational wealth provider. I'm really proud of that. My wife and I are really proud of that. We got nothing in the beginning. We built it all ourselves. I'm not saying we did it all right. I went through a bankruptcy on a construction company I had as a side business in the late 2000s. Late 2000s. Yeah, 2008 when it all crashed. Didn't know if I was saying that right. How do you say the 2000s? And it's the 2010s. 2008, I started a company. 2006 went really, really well. Built some houses, making good money. Had my white collar leadership job. Things happen. Boom. Whole market, the whole world goes boom. Wachovia gets bought up by Wells Fargo. Lehman Brothers goes under. The list goes on and on and on. Anderson goes under. It was hard. Had to rebuild it all again. It's when I met my wife, and she and I are attached at the hip around dedication to financial freedom. Some people think we might stay home a little too much. Well, it's okay, because we have big plans coming. Big plans coming. We're going to see the entire world. We're going to do whatever we want, whenever we want, because we put the hard first. We built a big, strong-ass bridge based on daily motivation. We've had bad days. We've had tears. We've had arguments. Life's hard. Step up to the plate. Never stop climbing. Build your own bridge. The next one I selected here is consume great culture. Think about this. Now, first of all, first thing that I thought of when I read that was, I'm going to travel the world and I am going to see a lot of different cultures, because a lot of our culture in America right now sucks. Got to build our own. But I do love, my wife and I love traveling because we love to insert ourselves in another culture. We will, we're going to Portugal. We're giving consideration to buying a home in Portugal for the nice weather, to visit for the nice weather. Very, very fortunate. Don't say that as a braggadocious statement. Took a lot of hard damn work to get there, but great health care, great weather, giving it a gander. We also want it because we want to engage with another culture. We're working on a book, always learning, right? Never stop climbing the mountain. We've got a Portuguese book for kids. It's pictures, and it's like how to say dog and how to say leaf and how to say bathroom and how to say dad and mom. Sitting on the counter. Every day we talk about a word or two. What Nietzsche means by consume great culture is you are what you eat. Culture is liberation. Removal of all the needs, removal of all the weeds, can't read my own W's and N's. Let me start this over. Culture is liberation. It is the removal of all the weeds, rubble, and vermin that attack the tender buds of the plant. Now again, 19th century writing, words mattered, eloquent, right? So consume culture that drives you to achievements, what he's saying. We've discussed this one also on the show. We talked about it in the way Warren Buffett and Steve Jobs said it too. Surround yourself with overachievers. Surround people with what you want to be. Don't surround yourself with the losers so you're the prince among the pauper. Be a pauper amongst the princes. And what that means is get people around you that are better than you, because guess what happens? You absorb, you learn, you grow. If you put a bunch of knuckleheads around you, you're going to be a knucklehead. If you go running up to the coffee pot critics and dive into that conversation every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday morning at the office, guess what? You're going to get pulled down into the weeds. The buds of your life plant are not going to be able to blossom because you're hanging out with naysayers, with woe is me's, with, oh, poor me, victim attitude. Yuck. Don't do this to yourself. These are easy selections. If there's people around that are always criticizing you, saying negative things about you, those aren't the tribe you want. You want people that are inspiring you, that drive you aspirationally. First of all, someone that's doing better than you will never criticize you. It's always the losers that are punching up because they want to draw you down where they are. So be very careful. Sometimes it's not visible that you've got a bad clan or a bad clan member. You got to watch and you got to think, why would they say that? Disengage from that. That's where growth comes from. Don't hang with the losers. Be in the winner's locker room. Find a clan that will force you to grow and improve. Stay away from, like I said, those coffee pot critics. Be bold and conquer with a clan that pushes you. Life is hard. Get in a group that helps you get through the hard, motivates you. Don't get in the group that says, hey, let's play some more video games. Hey, let's smoke another fatty. Hey, let's go drinking tonight. That's fine. College years are great. A few years after that, it's great. Wean off of it. If you've got kids, get away from it. It's not up to us if we put all of the bad things around us. It's going to be very hard for you independently to get through that. If you surround yourself with that good clan, that good club, those people that are overachievers, it will help you gain ground faster in life. I promise you. The last one I'm going to talk about today, the next and last for our part 1 episode here, is this. Love difference of thought. Again, all about growth. Bridges, right? Admire those that think differently. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them in perspective. Use them in proportion. I've said that before. You can't learn without observing. You can't learn without listening. You can't learn without being quiet. Man, could our political environment use some of this right now? Get in the room and start fixing the problems, boys and girls. What is happening in Western North Carolina is unforgivable. Forget about picking a team. This isn't about Democrat or Republican. This is about our government is run by inept people, people that can't make it in the private sector many times. That's a broad statement. I don't want to say it about everybody, but these people couldn't run popsicle stands. And we expect them to save the world or to keep us from blowing up the world. We need the caliber of our leaders and the caliber of our department heads in the U.S. government to be very strong people. They may say tough things. They may say things you don't like, but results matter. Deeds over words are what are important in our society. Same thing here. Surround yourself with different thinkers. We need people outside the box. We need people that are going to bring different ideas. Admire those that think differently. Nietzsche was a dark character in really some dark times in world history. The U.S. was, during his life, was going through the Civil War. Lincoln was shot. 12 years, 13 years after Nietzsche died, Francis Ferdinand was shot, started World War I, then World War II. There's always darkness if you look for it. But he comes across as this pessimist, but in his works, his books, but if you dig in and you look at the core principle, he really nails it. So he has several books out there. Look into them. Look into him. Next week, we will continue with more works by Friedrich, and we'll continue our discussions on being awesome, like he gives directions to us. Again, it's not hard. I'm one of many, 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 many people out there that talk about being inspired and working hard and putting your head down and all those types of things. Pick your target. Go listen to Ed. Go listen to whoever you want, right? Just start taking actions for yourself. The first step of any program is admitting you got a problem, a little self-realization. I need to do this on my own. It's what I've tried to teach my kids forever, is that no one's handing it to you, especially me and my wife. We're not handing them anything. Get up and go. We did it. Why wouldn't you? Every generation before us has done it. Very few, again, are handed something, folks. So if you want to be awesome, you got to act awesome. If you want to be successful, you got to act successful. If you want to be inspiring to others, act inspiring. I look forward to next week. We'll continue the talk on Friedrich Nietzsche. a great philosopher from the late 1800s in Germany, great ideas and everything. All of the ideas lead to one thing. You yourself are responsible for your own awesomeness. Once you figure that out, keep that shit up. Talk next week.